That is what it's giving for me.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristin.
And this is So I'm Watching Desperate Housewives, Season 1, Episode 19.
20.
Episode 20. Why does it say 18?
Fear no more, because you
Okay.
keep going back and it hasn't, like, Hulu doesn't
updated.
update properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a fine episode. You can tell that this season is hurtling towards
A finish,
a finale.
This is also, it was, like, very peace movie with, like, Gabby and Bree, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit Susan and almost not at all Lynette.
Lynette had her own.
It was her own thing.
As the episode was ending, I was like, so what happened in this episode? And I was like, really only Lynette.
Yeah.
All the rest of it is stuff that we've
It's
already...
just, like, shifting.
So we had a scene with Felicia Tillman and Mrs. Huber discussing Angela / Mary Alice.
Yeah.
Who?
Mary Alice Young. She lives next door to me in Fairview.
That's Angela Forrest. We worked together at the rehab center 15 years ago.
We got the information that when they were when Felicia and Angela, Mary Alice, were in Utah, she was a nurse. They were nurses or something. And there was a woman who was a drug addict who had a child. And then one day, Angela and Paul, I guess that wasn't his name, but they disappeared. Yeah. And also the child did. Yeah.
Yeah, but Felicia was very specific to say that you couldn't have hoped for better for the baby.
Well, she said she always
the girl
deep down had hoped that maybe
Angela took him.
Yeah.
And was like giving him a good life. And we also learned that Martha looks fat when she looks shocked.
Are you saying she stole the baby?
Don't look shocked, Martha. Makes your face look fat.
So there is that information. Lynette's story is that Tom is working at his job, and he is now working with a woman. What was her name?
Annabelle,
who he used to be serious with. And depending on who you're talking to, they were in love, or it was like a fling, or
the way that it is described in the show is
by Mary Alice.
Right? Our omniscient narrator is Annabelle begged Tom to marry her.
But he told her he wasn't the marrying kind.
Which, Tom's cute and all.
Begging?
Okay.
He's also... like he's clearly good at his job, but he's also like he's not really like a go-getter. Whatever. Apparently she begged and he said, I'm not the marrying kind. And then 3 weeks later he started cheating with Lynette and then all of a sudden decided he was the marrying kind, which just makes me think that Tom turned on his taxi light. Unacceptable. Regardless, he is very clearly in love and devoted to Lynette. I'm not questioning that. But
and she has no. So she is mad. Lynette is mad that Annabelle is working with Tom, and he hasn't told her.
And it's been 3 months.
And he was responsible for hiring her.
Well, no, Peterson hired her, is what he said, but Tom put in a good word for her, which is not good.
And so it would be one thing if they were coworkers and are still coworkers, you know what I mean? That would be one thing. But the notion that she was gone then came back.
Turned tail and moved to Chicago and then came back, and Tom put in a good word for her to get hired and then didn't tell Lynette. And then also...
Because he was upset, or he was afraid of how she'd act.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's not a good... It's valid. It's not a good.
It's more suspicious now. And Lynette is clear. And the fact that she is the one that was like, you cheated on her with me. And he's like, yeah, but I cheated with you.
The issue for me isn't so much that I think Lynette thinks that Tom is going to cheat on her. I think the issue is that she knows her husband's an idiot.
Well, sure, but I also yes.
and that he won't know how to not trip into.
Not necessarily. Okay, two things. Not necessarily that. I think she thinks he won't know that it's happening until it's too late, that Annabelle's doing something until it's too late. But in addition, I don't think it's fully about she thinks Tom is going to cheat. I think she is very insecure because she gave up her career that she was better at than Tom to raise their children, and now she doesn't feel as good as these working women. So she is afraid that what's going to happen is Tom is going to realize he has more things currently in common with Annabelle and move on to that because he doesn't because all Lynette does is raise his children. And for him to be like, all you tell me is that if I cheated, you're going to take the kids and leave me. And I'm like, well, number one, yes, that is something that just like wives say to their husbands. And to which I was like, we don't have kids, but I've said that to him. If you cheat on me, you're never going to see me again. And also, I get your family in the divorce if you cheat on me. Like, there's no question. But I also then don't agree with the thing that he said, where it was like, it's like you want me to cheat just so that you'll be right about it.
Okay. You don't agree with that?
I don't disagree with that.
Oh.
I am like kind of... I'm very torn in this.
That's phrased very deliberately, like choices are being made.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing, that because this is tapping into an insecurity of hers, that
she's basically
in
gonna make it
action,
happen.
she will allow it to happen.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, I really appreciate what she did with Annabelle by addressing it head on.
Yeah.
We should go out. Yeah. I'll check my book. So, Annabelle, do you have feelings for Tom? What? You heard me?
And dressing up and making and she doesn't think she was being subtle. Like, if Susan was in that position, Susan would think that
Yeah.
she had pulled one over on Annabelle. No.
When really she came in with all the grace of a sledgehammer.
Yeah, Lynette laid it out. And
Lynette knows she's a sledgehammer.
And Annabelle sort of said, and what of it?
Yeah.
Which was where,
Yeah.
because I don't know. I don't remember what happens here.
I mean, I can't imagine Tom actually cheats on her.
I don't think that happened. Well, there is something that I do remember that happens
later.
Well, if history is any indication, in the
It
next
could
episode.
happen in the next episode.
Because I remember it being in 2 or 3 seasons, but there is something that happens, but not that. I just, I don't know. I don't like Annabelle. I mean, she is the wronged one from her perspective.
I don't know. I feel like when you're begging a man to marry you and he immediately marries the next woman instead, then you were not it. Take your lumps and move on.
Or take what you learned and apply that to your next relationship.
Yeah.
Like, stealing him back from Lynette for what? For him to not marry you a second time? I don't know.
Also, he's got 4 kids.
She was really, like, Lynette made it very clear how she felt and what was happening.
Yeah.
And they could have put on a superficial relationship. And Annabelle was a little too ready to play.
Yeah.
Yes, Tom and I were in love. But he married you. I'm not looking to break up a happy couple. Anyway, that's really more your speed, isn't it?
Morning, ladies. Just going in for a little more fuel.
She was a little too game in a gotta go sort of way.
Yeah.
And
it's not my favorite.
I stand by my it because it's the same thing we went through with Claire with the nanny, where it's not that, like, I don't think Tom has the want or the desire to cheat on Lynette.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I trust him to navigate a sticky situation.
Yeah.
And and he is want to find himself in sticky situations.
True.
So, but it ended on an uneven, unfinished, because he kind of told off Lynette and points were made.
Mm-hmm.
So there's quite a show you put on tonight.
What's wrong with subtly reminding Annabelle that you're happily married?
Because it wasn't subtle. And it's an insult to me. How long until you actually trust me?
I trust you.
How many times have you said to me, if you ever touch another woman, I will take the boys and I will walk out of here and you will never see us again?
Well, that's just something wives say to their husbands.
Not all wives. God, Lynette, you're just so convinced that I'm going to be unfaithful. It seems like you're not going to be happy until you drive me out of this marriage just to prove yourself right. Forget I said that.
It's too late. You said it.
Well, then just consider it something that husbands say to their wives.
And then he went to work with Annabelle.
Yeah. In
And
the middle of the night, too.
to pull an all-nighter. To which Annabelle said, I'll get him back to you, Lynette. And Lynette said, I'm sure you will.
I don't like it.
Ugh.
I have to point out that Lynette has changed necklaces, and this one is much more flattering. It looks like a little locket. And much better than that 3-strand beaded nightmare.
Also, Lynette sought out guidance from Edie.
So, look, you're basically a predator, and I need some advice.
Yes.
Which was perfect, which
Yeah.
is we've talked about it before. I love Edie, and we've mentioned that she is a very strong ingredient that should be used sparingly. They are using her sparingly. I could go for a pinch more, but because she's
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in seasons 2 through 5, she's a fifth lead in a way that she's kind of a well, she is technically a series regular. No.
Oh,
she's a series regular.
Every episode is just as credit only.
Uh-huh.
Here's the thing, too. I think Nicolette Sheridan is doing something so interesting with Edie because there is still a sweetness to her. She is not a wall-to-wall, like, bombshell bitch. The way that she interacts with Lynette in this, she doesn't feel like she's acting better than Lynette.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being paranoid.
No, you did the right thing coming to me. Now there's really only one way to approach this.
I'm listening.
When I feel threatened by a woman, I pull her in. I make her my best friend.
They feel on an even keel. Lynette comes to her, and it's not even that Lynette is coming to her, like, kind of subjugating herself, but she does kind of come to her
Lynette's
hand
out of her
a
league.
little.
Yeah.
And she's like, I need your help, you know.
To which Edie
XYZ.
says, you were right to come to me.
But it's like in a very sweet way. The way that Nicolette Sheridan is delivering a lot of these lines, there is such a sweetness to her that I like a lot, and I kind
almost
of
a
wish,
warmth that you wouldn't expect.
kind of wish we got more of that. Like, I like that she's a bitch and a ball buster and everything, but it's the sweetness that I'm really responding to, that she genuinely has a want and a need to be friends with these women and to, like, surround herself with a community, but she kind of is at a loss how to do that.
Well, she's also because this is
But she also is sort of doing it by accident.
Well, this is a very idyllic upper middle class suburban utopia kind of, which is part of the thesis of the show. And I don't recall. Well, actually, no, because didn't they say that she was in foster care or something? Basically, it's very apparent that Edie is not from the same breeding stock, social circles. Like,
You really went down a hole with breeding stock.
she's not from the same.
She pulled herself up by her bootstraps.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my point, she is. They are operating on the same level now, but they're not from the same level.
Well, and that's actually something that you bring that up that's very interesting, because I actually, given, especially now that we've met Sophie, I think she and Susan are really excellent foils for each other, because I think the only reason Susan lives here is because she's getting alimony from Carl, and because she has a very specialized occupation, which pays a decent
artist.
amount of money.
And
a children's book
artists are
illustrator.
What's that thing? Artists are the most dangerous.
I don't know.
Oh God, it's something about, like, when you look at class and society and stuff, artists are the most dangerous because they can exist in.
Beware of artists. They mix with all classes of society and are therefore most dangerous. Queen Victoria. Apparently. This is literally from the internet. I don't know who actually said that.
It's quoting Hitler. Like,
I mean, this one is a picture of Queen Victoria, so it has to be true.
There's a picture next to it. But I think that's true. You can exist at any point, and and I think it gives, because it also, depending on which social circle you're in, people do tend to put a special an artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think Susan can kind of, like, skate by in ways that Edie sticks out more.
Well, it's also like, just because Sophie is like unhinged doesn't mean that Susan didn't actively work against that and get a husband who was like a higher caliber than she was, and like all of this stuff to like elevate herself above whatever Sophie did to her in childhood. So it's like, if they had met in high school, I actually think that Edie's thing might not have really hung together with her, like, you were a cheerleader, weren't you? Like, I think they were on way more of an even keel in high school than Susan
but the thing
believes
is,
they are now.
Susan assimilated, and Edie didn't.
Yeah.
And
well, she assimilated a little. She is like a successful real estate agent. She has money now.
That's what I mean. Where I'm like, they are now currently, but they're coming from different places,
from different starting points. Yeah.
And I don't remember if I had. Yes, and then also, because this was another thing that I actually love about Edie, and it's when Paul approaches her and basically is like,
Something's been nagging me, Edie. I wanted to talk to you about it.
Okay.
That night I found you in my house. Why were you really there?
I know you and Susan were in my house. Why? Yeah. What were you doing? And Edie does the right thing by sort of like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then when he does finally call her bluff, she goes ahead and just says what happened.
Okay, Susan made me do it. She has this fixation on why Mary Alice killed herself, and she keeps blathering on about blackmail notes and dead babies.
Yeah, but it's also like the way that she does it, and maybe it's just the fact that it actually wasn't that serious, but like the way that she does it, she's like, I don't know, she was really obsessed with this tape with that said Angela on it, but
that's what I mean.
To watch it.
I really like it because I think at face value it looks or seems like it might be a betrayal, but she actually weirdly kind of. And she didn't get Susan off the hook.
Yeah, but the way that she just lays it out, the way that she's nothing.
And I mean, at a certain point, when that level of shenanigan is going on, someone's gonna have to cut to the chase and be like, okay, let's just say what's going on.
Well, also, it's like we had many shots of whiskey, so like, I mean, our critical thinking skills were low, Paul.
But Mike is there working on Edie's house, and he does overhear, and he does sort of tell Edie to not trust Paul and to not pursue this. And it does Paul then does confront Susan. And again, I do sort of like it. And it is what?
I already forgot about Zach hucking gravel in her face at the beginning of this episode.
Sawed off shotgun to the face.
Zach, what do you think you're...
Just...
right in the eyes.
You like screamed when it happened. Well, it was filmed well because when Susan opens the window, Zach is looking down and like taking.
It's good.
I mean, I am a Susan apologist, but you know, we do.
It's funny.
These things happen to her for a reason.
Also, he is very apologetic at first until she's like, Julie doesn't like you, and also she thinks you suck. Go away.
I mean, Zach is...
He's unhinged.
Yeah. I do think Susan is taking it out on him a little bit. She's very fixated. Well,
Paul hasn't been violent in her presence, and Zach has...
Well, and she is taking it out on him because she's trying to protect Julie from him. And Julie is...
Why start now? You're just letting her roll off the couch onto the floor and somehow disappear as a grown-ish child off a merry-go-round.
Okay. She didn't let her roll off onto the floor. She miscalculated. A new mother miscalculated.
She also forgot her in the house.
And then the merry-go-round was clearly a visual gag. That was not a character beat. That was a slapstick bit because it's very funny because the quarter of the merry-go-round is off screen. Yeah. And so as Susan's pushing it, little Julie goes and then doesn't come back. And also, it's going at such a speed where it's not going fast because that would almost be too concerning.
Woo!
Yeah. It's kind of listing.
Yeah.
And so it does make one ponder.
Yeah, it does.
So, also, not a criticism, just to comment, we're getting a lot of Leslie Ann Warren.
Do you think it spices up the room?
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Well, she wasn't.
But it is noteworthy.
She wasn't in too much of this episode. There was the, like, Gabby just, like...
Excuse you.
Straight yoinking the bottle of champagne out of her hand and her just being like, well, fine.
She was very like... Ugh.
And then Zach or Paul for sure put a bomb in their house, but she, like, maybe left a French vanilla candle burning in the house.
Gabby, I know, Susan. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Oh my God! Oh my God, that's my house!
I don't know why she's still there.
She adds a peanut gallery quality that I do really enjoy.
Sure.
And so again, I'm not saying no, don't do it. I'm just saying the welcome has been overstayed.
Do you know what it is? You mentioned Moulin Rouge when we were watching it. If you want, watch along with us. It's giving very Satine in the black thing when she's first trying to seduce Kristin and she's just going,
I feel like dancing.
That is what it's giving for me.
She's just this Leslie Ann Warren is this wind-up toy that they let loose on set, and they just capture magic.
I'm just saying, that's what it's giving me.
They put a mirror in her dressing room.
Yeah, she's a parakeet.
Put a sheet over her. So yeah, there's that. So do you actually think that Paul planted that?
Zach was playing with fire at the end of the episode. Yeah. While he was looking at his creepy Julie murder wall.
Murder board.
Murder board.
I always thought, I never actually, I just thought that was an implication. Although, here we go. Confirmation versus implication.
Sorry. You can cut this out too, but have you ever seen that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Because Trevor showed it to me and I lost my fucking mind, and now every time I use the word implication, I can't think of anything else.
Because if the girl said no, then the answer obviously is no.
No.
But the thing is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
He and Mac are at the hardware store or something, and he's like, what we do is we invite the girls onto a boat, and then they have to sleep with us. And Mac is like, whoa, well, I mean, they don't have to. And he's like, no, I know, but they're alone with us on the ocean in a boat. So it's the implication. And Mac is just like, everyone should be able to leave whenever they want. And Dennis is like, of course, of course.
Of course. Of course.
And he's like, but the implication.
But they'll feel like they have.
Yeah, they'll feel like they have to. Anyway, yeah. I couldn't tell you if it's a confirmation that he did it or not, but it's certainly a heavy implication that Zach set fire to the Meyer house.
I think I always took it as it was something they were capable of doing, but I thought of it as, I guess we'll never know.
Sure.
Although, to be honest, I don't remember if there is confirmation, so we might actually get confirmation. I don't remember.
Paul just also keeps on menacingly looking at Susan from across the street when they're both outside.
He's just prowling around his van.
And then just going.
How either of them have time outside of tucking in their shirts, I'll never.
Zach and Paul? Yeah.
Booked schedule.
Solid.
Braiding belts and tucking in shirts.
It is all braided belts, isn't it?
Oh.
Also, Zach wears a 3-piece suit to this backyard barbecue that Gabby's throwing.
In which, for once, Gabby walks on screen and we go, ooh.
Cute outfit.
The skirt was cute.
Cute outfit.
So no, they do have the going away party for Carlos. I do like that they kind of just embrace it.
Yeah.
That they're not trying to pretend that it's something else.
Well, I'm going to prison.
Because, and I mean, that's sort of not to, make it too real, but to go back to the whole, college scandal. It's I mean, if you do something wrong, then you gotta
Do your time.
And so I kind of like that he's embracing it in this way. Gabby is pregnant.
She also realizes that Carlos messed with her birth control, and she...
I love that Mary Alice also kind of trolls it a little bit by being like, it was very obvious.
Yeah. But the thing is like, I don't think she reacted hard enough. She just goes downstairs and screams,
Carlos, you son of a bitch! I am pregnant and it's all your fault!
That's not enough.
It's because the show's gonna roll with it. Yeah, I know.
I haven't been wanting to take it here, but he raped her.
No, you are right. You are right. But we weren't talking that way in 2005.
I know.
And that's part of the problem.
She also doesn't know who the father is because she has been sleeping with John again. And she does admit it to Susan, which I liked, that she was open with Susan. And Susan seems a lot less moral about it now that John's 18 as well. So
I also really enjoyed the scene of Gabby going to talk to the priest.
Yeah.
I think it's because she is such a despicable character. We need all the little nuggets we can get, and just having this sort of like put upon priest being like, "What have you done now?"
Yeah, and
it makes light of very real.
She just says, "I would have," or he's like,
"Gabrielle, what brings you down here?" "Oh, sweet mother of God, what have you done this time?"
It's like the gardener still.
I do. That was like a through line that it's like, still, you're still doing the gardener. And she's like, yeah.
I don't love that more than one person told her that children are a blessing, because like that's not the point. She very clearly didn't want to be pregnant, and that is the only point.
That's where again it goes back to
it's 2005. I understand.
Well, but also the show.
Yeah.
Because if the show is the main character, then she is not fulfilling her duty because she's a desperate housewife and they have children, you know, and to perpetuate the cycle, to keep it going. So it depends on how you're looking at the show.
I get it.
But
I'm just very passionate about fertility and choice.
You should watch this season of American Horror Story.
Bad.
Yeah. Bree. It's the same. It's the third time we've seen this plot.
George is back. He's still messing with Rex's prescription.
How do you feel about Bree's blind spot with him?
It checks out.
It does? Okay.
Yeah, it checks out. She's not stupid, but she's sometimes like willfully ignorant of what's going on around her.
She holds herself and others to such a high standard that I think in her mind, there's no possible way that George could be lying to her. Because he's so sophisticated.
Well, and
she
also
feels
just
kindred to him.
And because she wouldn't lie about that kind of thing. She takes a lot of things at face value.
Because he is just not giving Rex his medicine.
No, he's not. And they've like doubled the dosage, whatever that means. Whatever he's giving Rex, I don't know what he's doubled the dosage of, but it's
vanilla Tic Tacs.
Not heart medicine.
We did get Ginger. I don't remember if we get her again, but
his assistant at the pharmacy.
I'm in love with Ginger.
Ginger? The stock girl?
Yes. It's very serious.
It didn't seem to be working with a full deck.
No.
Well, because it was so funny when you were like, she was reminding you of Kathy Geist is when I was going to say Dagny.
Oh, yeah.
But then when you went Kathy Geist, I was like, well, that's rude to Dagny, so I'm not going to bring it up.
No. It's just like, it's like kind of the same, but it's like because we already had Dagny Kerr, obviously she can't do this, but she would have been good at this. Although maybe she like left her job at the hospital and decided to be a pharmacy tech instead.
Change approved.
Oh, well, Julie and Zach, like Julie was like, I don't want to hang out with you. And also Paul was like, you're not special, dude. She doesn't like you. She could have anyone. And then she was hugging a tall built guy at the party.
Well, because he was talking about like how amazing Julie is. And that's when he told Zach that you're nothing special. And I say on our watch along where I was like, I mean, it's the truth and nothing but the truth. But I don't like these men saying it this way.
And also then Zach was like, she kissed me. And I was like, baby boy. The amount of boys I kissed and don't even remember their name.
That came and went.
I don't even remember their name.
So we need to check in with Danielle. We haven't seen Danielle in a minute.
She was sleeping over at someone's house when the Reverend came over for dinner.
I always wondered, and it because that was another thing, and this is, I'll just make this a little point, but I always thought that Andrew, if we were going the him being gay angle, that would potentially make his relationship with Danielle more interesting. But the sociopath element sort of voids that. Okay, well, we're gonna watch the next one, and then we'll talk about it when it's over.